So I'm wanting to replay the price action yesterday. I am pretty disappointed in myself for not catching these moves, but that's why we do these videos so I can watch these later and find out where I made a mistake, right? So in the video I had posted earlier today, I talked about why I use the developing value area and how that's helpful in trending days. So yesterday, uh, September 22nd was a trending day. And I just want to recap the price action in the morning and why I think I missed that. Luckily, I jot down my thoughts about every 15 minutes. And then if I have something else noteworthy to say, I'll write it down in my notes here. So I'll be coming back to this here in just a second. But yesterday, uh, if you take a look here, we're into all-time high territory. The part that I'm disappointed in myself in is we had a clear consolidation for several days on the market profile. You can see this was the 22nd right here. Let me get rid of these things. But if you take a look at this, this would have been right here, this level. Sunday, Monday, here's the open, right? This is pretty clear consolidation. I mean, it's in an uptrend, but consolidation nevertheless. You've got overlapping value, overlapping ranges, and then again for a couple of days right here, including the overnight session. And so that is textbook, price building up energy to pick a direction. It's consolidation, which there's that saying, the bigger the base, the higher the space. So you've got a pretty good base going these both of these days, or both of these ranges. And then when it comes into yesterday, right here, you've got a pretty clear level right here of, where price could potentially break out. You could argue that this is the overnight session. It's not as valuable, so I would say right around 67.21 was the area to watch. So 67.21 is right here. 67.21 right here. Right, so this is what I missed. Price opens right here. Got aggressive buying, high delta. Not exactly relevant, but it's not nothing. Not relevant to the trade, I should say. Then you've got this move down, this delta down, which was met with lower volume in the open. And then we've got this big spike in delta up here. Not as much volume as the open, but it's not nothing. So this right here is tied to this candle. We're approaching the previous day's value area high. And then again, this overnight high, 67.21, is that range where, we're watching to see if price can break through it. There's 2 or 3 potential trade locations here that I just simply missed. And I'll tell you why once I bring up my, the times that I was and what I was thinking at different times throughout the morning. But really, there's no reason not to get in this trade. So this leads me to believe I need to develop a loose point system to the things I have in my favor. And once I get to, let's say, out of 10 things I'm looking for, I have 10 points. If I get 7 of them, I need to be taking the trade, right? And then I'll do some substantial back testing to make sure that that point system makes sense and try to determine where the nuances are, and so on and so forth. But basically, all we're trying to do here is trying to find that, what's the probability price is going to be going up versus going down, and what pieces of information I have to determine that direction. Anyway, right here, you see obvious uptrend in delta. Obvious. Right here, we had a little pullback, but I mean, this is still in an uptrend. Price is also in an uptrend right here. So that would be, say, 1 point on the delta, 1 point on the price action, making higher highs, higher low. Another one would be potentially breaking up to this level right here. And if it's going to be a trend day, again, my rule or an observation I have for trend days is price usually taps or respects the developing value area high, which would be this line. You can see it respected right here and then also right here. So this is what I'm looking at. Big spike up in delta right here. That should have made my spidey sense tingle that I should be looking for a long trade. And then basically I'm waiting for my pullback. So pullback would have been right here. You can see over here the volume delta. Because we're at all-time highs or around that, this 1 day profile is going to line up with the 5 day and the 20 day. So you can pretty much assume this low volume node is true across the higher time frame. So we cleared this. I could have put my stop somewhere down here in the thick of this distribution, or even right here at this point of control. That's what that blue line is. And the rest is history, right? I mean, it's about as obvious as it can be. I think I just missed it because I was carrying in a bias to the day. I was looking for more of a mean reversion trade. And let's pull in my notes here for that day. 8:30, buying volume right at the open. 8:45, I'm going to move this to the side here. 8:45, which is about right here. So at 8:45, chopping around thick distribution. Yeah, that's true. Buying and selling delta, not telling anything in terms of direction. Volume about equal on both sides. Looks like we're approaching a low volume node above us, but not with aggression. Price making higher high, but delta not following might be a good place to short. So this is this pullback right here. That's what I'm talking about. This pullback. I think the reason that I thought it was not met with high volume is just because I was comparing that to the open volume, which I mean is going to have more volume than most of the candles throughout the day anyway. So that's something I need to make sure I carry forward and not make that mistake again. You know, don't put so much emphasis on that first candle of the day, which is usually going to have more volume than everything else. So this pullback right here, and then we have a sharp increase at 8:51. So at 8:52, this move up with high delta was not paired with high volume. See how this plays out. My money is on price not sustaining this leg up. That's a short bias going into that leg up. Again, I mean, that's good enough volume. I was being way too picky with trying to get extremely high volume that's similar to the open volume, and that's just a little bit too picky. If I'm looking for that, I'm going to have one trade a week. So I need to be a little more loose with those rules, which again is why that point system makes sense. Right here, that should have made me start to look for longs. And then at 8:55, I said eyeing a short since delta moved up quite a bit with volume. With quite a bit of volume, move through this low volume node pretty quick would make sense. Just jotting down that for additional confidence in the logic. So that logic is more or less when price approaches a low volume node, because there's not a lot of activity there, price should traverse that area fairly quick. Which I mean that note right there is neutral, I would say, but I don't think I was looking at the right things, which is why we're making this video. I'm putting it in verbal form. I'll write it down here in a second, and that way I'm less likely to make this mistake again, or more likely to see the right context of the trade. What I can guarantee I wasn't watching was developing value area, or at least I wasn't putting a whole lot of weight on it. And then moving forward, you see a couple opportunities to get long here, and I just want to pair the timing with where price is compared to my notes right here. So moving forward here, we got at 8:55. We already went over that. 8:57 right here. The overnight high is poor/weak, or weak/poor. Makes sense. We're trying to test that area again. It's just above the low volume node. Buying volume steadily increasing, making this move up a bit more legitimate. That tells me that I was looking for a long. I just didn't take it. 9 o'clock, you hit the point of control from Friday. Remember to breathe, homie. 9:07. Price grinding up, higher high, higher low on price and delta. Hard to see a reason to go short at this point, but open-minded. The morning trade would have been a big winner by now. Excluding that last sentence, because that's not in my system yet until I get more confidence, but hard to see a reason to go short. So I'm starting to change my bias. I'm starting to not look for this mean reversion trade. I was really looking for that mean reversion trade because I was being too picky with the volume down here being paired with the delta. You can clearly see here, clear as day. Come on. This is an uptrend. This is an uptrend. No reason to go short. So if there's no reason to go short, let's find a reason to go long, right? Or not find a reason, but let the reason come to us. The other part of that is right here. Price comes and touches the prior day value area high, which is confluent with the developing value area high. What more do you need for a long trade? You've cleared this low volume node. It came back and tested it pretty much to the tick. Your stop loss should have been somewhere down here. You can put it below structure if you really want to, but you need to be taking these trades. And that's why I like to do these. That's why I want to do these reviews so I don't miss this again, because this is textbook. This is textbook setup for me. And I missed it because there's too many things going on in my head, and I just need to have some type of point system to make sense of it all. Going forward, let's just see what I say here. Pullback happening right now on low volume. I mean, that's another reason to get in, is it not? Pullback on low volume, 912. Yeah, pullback right here. Super low volume. Perfect place to enter. Why did we not enter? 915, not convinced on this short with low delta and low volume, not taking it. We'll see what happens. Okay, if you're not going to take the short, then take the long, idiot. I wish I could go smack the Nick at 915 yesterday. Watching volume and delta to see if we have a quick spike. We'll trade in the direction if of the increased volume if it happens. You know, you're being too picky. I love that I wrote this down because you're just being too picky with volume, right? What I'm wanting to see is buyers step up to the plate with high volume and high delta, when in reality, I don't need buyers to step up to the plate. I need sellers to back off, which right here they did. Sellers have been backing off the entire day. We're at all-time high territory. Sellers are not going to initiate selling activity. You're only going to have folks locking in profits, causing the selling. That was more than enough to take the trade right there. If I had a point system, I think I would have taken these, or at least had a little more confidence in it. 920. Right here, overnight high and prior day close. Fridays are in the same area. Makes sense. Price is chopping around this area. Seems like we're going to pick a direction here. Buying volume drying up at the moment. Again, you don't need buying volume to dry up. You need sellers to back off. That's the takeaway from that. Delta trend line broke. Delta now going sideways. My money's on the short. We could go long if we see volume and delta increase through those levels. Okay, I get the logic here. My money's on the short. I want to smack Nick yesterday for writing that down, because it's like, why is your money on the short? We're trending up in delta. We're trending up in price. We're at all-time highs. We just broke overnight high structure. We're bouncing off of DVA high. If you were going to take a short here, literally everything would have needed to be in your favor. And you had, the only thing you had was delta structure break. So that's at 920. I mean, not really. What structure do I see broke here? I don't agree with my analysis right there. 924, buyers not showing up here to break through these levels. 924. It's not so much the seller showing up, it's the buyers are nowhere to be found. What are you talking about? It's steady volume. I love that I wrote that down, because now I can go back and see how stupid that was. 930, decent long volume on the delta, like in the long opposite, waiting for a pullback if we're going to take this long. And I just never got the pullback. I never got the pullback because I was being too greedy. Here at 10 o'clock, it's just like you start to get a pullback, but we haven't hit DVA yet. And then if I was going to take the long, it would have been around here. But at that point, you had delta just flatline, or not flatline, but delta just came down in an aggressive move, which would have prevented me from going long right here. But what I'm noticing now is that delta decline, in delta right here, was met with pretty low volume, which is what you want to see. That means that leg down right here is weak. It's very strong on the delta, but it's weak in volume, and it's weak in this price action right here. That's how that works. So, good one to review. I see exactly where I messed up, and makes me realize that I do or I should have some type of point system so I don't miss trades like this again. Thanks.